Artem, thank you so much for joining me. So you're an owner of an AdvantaClean in the Raleigh area. It looks like you're kind of an entrepreneur and own multiple businesses, but you're also from Ukraine. Is that right? So can you share a little bit about your background, like how long you've been in the US, how long you lived in Ukraine, that kind of stuff?
Yep. So I've been in the States for, was it 2002 right now or 2022? So it's gonna coming on 20 years.
Okay.
I left there when I was 10. So I remember elementary school with some of my friends still, right?
Yep.
I was old enough to remember it.
Okay. Do you still have family there, or friends? What is the relationship there?
So I have a small family, so I don't really have family. My grandparents luckily passed before all this stuff started because I couldn't even imagine dealing with that. But I do have friends who I keep in touch with daily or multiple times a day now.
So what are they saying is happening on the ground? What is it like?
So I don't know if you heard about the power plant attack. So that's my home city, right?
Okay.
So let's just start there, right?
Okay.
It's definitely rough. One of my friends, she's a pharmacist. The other girl that I'm talking to, they're both moms. One's a pharmacist. The other one used to work retail, but them both being moms, we started talking about baby food, and there's no baby food on the shelves right now, right? Like there is no amount of money that we could send to get baby food. So that's an issue. Obviously, the bombings are an issue. Roads are blocked, can't get in, get out, right? So even just the regular logistics of water, food, supplies, all of that is tough, right? They're making handmade body armor right now, right? Like that's the reality of things on the ground. There are videos floating around of the same city of tens of thousands, maybe even more, from the video of people just gathering, of waiting to get their firearm and volunteering, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. My husband and I have been watching as closely as we can, but obviously having straight connections there, I'm sure you're getting much better information than we can even through the news. So what are you finding is the best way to help the Ukrainians that need help? With all the channels blocked and it's so difficult. And we've been talking about, like, I don't know how to help, but I want to. So what's the best way?
So I've only found two ways right now, and that's gather supplies and send out supplies, or where I can, Western Union money. Western Union, for those people who don't know, it's kind of like Zelle or Venmo from like 40 years ago, right? It started out as a way to transfer paper currency. Now it's digital. So in the same conversation with a pharmacist, when they were talking about lack of baby food, she took a photo of just a couple of things left on the shelf, and I just told her, like, hey, scoop it, take it all off the shelf. I'll send you the money, like, just take care of it, right? And then today, she got tagged on Instagram from one of her friends. The guy's driving around delivering all the baby food out in his trunk, right, to the people who need it. So that's one way. That only works if there's food on the shelves, right? And that's becoming tougher and tougher to do. So the other way is gathering supplies and sending them out directly to Ukraine. And when I say directly to Ukraine, it's not going directly to Ukraine. It's going to either Poland or Moldova or some of the neighboring countries. And then it's being trucked into Western Ukraine. From there, boxes get opened and things get triaged based on needs, right? So you can't just ship everything to every hospital. They're having to prioritize which hospital gets what, which area gets what baby food. So that's pretty much what's happening right now.
Are your friends finding that a lot of people are staying? I mean, I know that there's a mass exodus and a lot of people are trying to get to other countries, but also some of the pathways have been blocked. You know, there's supposed to be ceasefires and stuff like that. That hasn't happened. People haven't been able to get out. Have they found that most people are trying to stay put and fight in their city? What are they seeing?
So it's tough because with the roadways being blocked, you never know who's staying because they have to versus they're staying because they want to versus staying because there's no way out. I just know that my friends, I've told them like, hey, try to get to Poland if you want to then figure it when as soon as the borders open, I'll help you get stabilized here in the States. Like I'll do whatever I can. And they're all saying like, nope, I'm not leaving, right? They all have kids, they all have older parents, they all could get out. And I'm telling my friends like, hey, let me get you out. And they're responding with, hey, you want to chip in for body armor? We're selling body armor over here. So the bravery and just the sheer willpower is absolutely incredible.
Mhm.
Again, my friends are late 20s, early 30s, right? It's probably a different mindset than maybe somebody in their 40s or 50s. So I don't want to speak
Yep,
on everybody's behalf.
sure.
Over 1 million people have already left the country, right? Those who could. But there are a lot of people who are staying put and they're just riding this out, which makes getting things to them even more important.
Yes. Do you have any idea what it's like for their children? I'm assuming, I guess that, on the news, they haven't talked about schools and stuff, but I'm assuming that most things are closed and they're staying with their parents. And do you have any gauge of that?
As bad as it sounds, I've been afraid to ask.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where hearing that they're running out of
Yeah.
preemie baby formula, like I don't know if anybody knows somebody who was born preemie and how difficult it is to get a premature baby through the first 6 months of life.
Yeah.
In the States with the best care in the world, they're running out of that baby food, right? So I hear those kind of things for me to ask like, hey, what's going on with school? Or
Yeah.
I'm almost afraid to ask, and shame on me, but
I
I
don't
can
believe
only
you.
handle so much mentally, and I'm
Yeah.
afraid to ask that question. But I'd imagine that they're not going to school. I would imagine that they're just sitting in the houses and or in the cellars under the apartments just to make sure that the building doesn't come down on them.
I don't blame you for not asking. I was a little like, I don't know that I want to ask. I have little children as well. And I cannot imagine being in the situation. I was thinking us as restorers, we're used to like, okay, we go to a house fire, maybe we can bring them a teddy bear or
Yeah.
clothes or something like that. Like we are beyond that. We're like basic needs. I noticed that baby formula was the first thing on your
Yeah.
list when I saw your list on social media last night. So, okay, so let's walk through some of the other things. So baby formula, number one, what are some other things that people could be donating?
So I'm gonna just rattle off a few things.
Yep.
Like that list is ever evolving every time I hear something new. So in the restoring world, think of anything you would bring to a CAT event.
Okay.
That, right? In addition to baby formula, medicine, just water purifying pills. Everything you'd bring to a CAT event. So the list that has been circulating, baby formula is huge. Diapers are huge. One of my friends mentioned this the other day, and I didn't even think about it. Earplugs. So the kids don't hear the bombings, right? That's a tough one for me to get through. Hair ties. It sounds silly, but there's 40,000 women in the armed forces, right? Hair ties, female hygiene, just all your basic necessities. The other big one right now is knee pads and elbow pads.
Okay.
They're the plastic hard ones, right? So they're needed for the soldiers, and when everything is done and it's time to rebuild, they'll be used in construction, right? Sleeping bags are another big one. It's still fairly cold over there. Ukraine is not Siberia, despite everybody thinking that it's forever cold there. That is not the case.
Okay.
However, it is maybe like New York temperatures, if that gives you an idea, or maybe upstate New York.
Yep. Cold.
It's still March, right? It's
Yeah.
still dropping to almost freezing at night. Power's going out, gas is going out. So sleeping bags are huge. Warm clothes, beanies, and then your basic medicines, right? So the IFAR, first aid kits, tourniquets, just basic gauze and bandage. So just that's kind of the stuff that they're looking for. But baby care is huge, and then anything that is medical is huge, and then elbow pads and knee pads. That's the one that I wouldn't have thought of until my friends brought it up, and after they mentioned it, it's a very obvious thing. And then now the other one that's breaking my heart to talk about every time are just earplugs.
Yeah. Okay. So if people want to donate supplies, how do they get them to you?
So I have a UPS PO box for my business, and boxes can be shipped directly there. They'll hold them there until the end of the day and they pick them up. They can be shipped to either under my name or Unmold LLC. I got super creative when I created my LLC. I couldn't think of a company name, so that's the first thing I thought of. And the address there is 476 Shotwell Road. That's SHOTWELL Road, Suite 102-1, North Carolina 27520. And I will also send it to you separately.
Perfect. Okay. Yep. And I'm going to put it up on the screen so everybody can see it who's watching the video. Okay. And if people don't have supplies to donate, how can they get money to you?
I have my personal Venmo, and that's what I've been just using, and it is LOPA. So it's the first 5 letters of my last name, the first initial of my first name. So LOPTA 92.
Okay, perfect. Okay, anything else? Okay, so your first shipment, you're planning to ready your first shipment tomorrow, March 8th. Is that right? So how often are you hoping to have stuff to send out?
So there are multiple groups just here in Raleigh who are shipping things out. So it's going to come down to how fast can we gather supplies. If we could all gather enough supplies to make daily shipments, that just means things are getting on the ground, right? But then we also have to be smart about how often we're shipping things, right? So it's that's the tough trade-off. There are multiple groups here, have contacts in Philadelphia that told me that they would drive down for box truck if necessary, and I would drive it back up and ship things out of Philly. So we can ship things as fast as we can gather them. We'll figure out the shipping piece, right? It's just getting the supplies, getting everything in, and then from there we'll figure out how to fly it, right? Worst case scenario, somebody gets on the plane, they gather all the boxes, and they fly to Poland themselves. And as much as I would rather not fly to Poland because I don't know how long it would take for me to get back and all that stuff, worst case scenario, I will fly to Poland with the things myself and take the trip to drop things off.
Yes. Okay. Anything else that you think that the industry should know anyway? Any other ways that we can help get involved? Anything?
Yeah. So for those who sit on boards or any connections with politicians, effectively, just talk to them about opening the borders. United States is all of Europe has opened the borders already. United States has not yet. So refugees cannot come to the States. That's a huge one that's near and dear to my heart. And then down the road, like 3-6 months down the road, as people start coming down here, I hope people remember the feeling of this week and last week when people are applying for jobs or trying to get stabilized. Just be friendly, help them out. Like, it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be, if you can open up your house, great. If it's a matter of opening up your contacts list and saying, hey, I know you're looking for a job, these 3 people are hiring, go talk to them, definitely do it, right? One of my employees is from Belarus. And for those of you who are watching geopolitics, right, I'm Ukrainian, he's from Belarus. There is no bad blood between the people, right? He has friends on both sides of the border right now, right? I have family in Belarus, in Crimea, and Moscow. Granted, we don't really talk to that family, but they're still spread out everywhere, right? The people themselves don't have bad blood, right? So when people do start coming down here, whether it's from Belarus because they don't agree with what their government is doing, or Russia because they don't agree with their government, or Ukraine because they went through atrocities. Help them out, like give them the chance to interview for that job. There might be a language barrier. They'll learn, right? There is nobody who's going to work harder than the person who is given the chance to either start over or take care of their families abroad who are looking to rebuild. And our industry can use people, right? There is not a shortage of jobs in our industry. So as people start coming over to this side of the world, just give them a chance, interview them. That's going to go a long way with them getting on their feet and starting to help their own families, as opposed to their families needing to rely on other people.
Okay. Well, Artem, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing all this. I'm going to try to get it out to the industry as fast as I can. And if you have other updates or other needs that you find out, I'll be watching your social pages and stuff like that, but feel free to shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll share as much as I can. And I've seen this industry come together before, so hopefully that happens here. And thank you for everything that you're doing.
I appreciate you, Michelle. Thank you very much.
Yep. Have a good one.